Going on, everyone? Just wanted to say a few words here about the events that have been entreating us with the subsequent ferocity of discussion, of action, violence in many areas. I think it leads for the necessity of extreme action. Okay, and I think that over the course of time, what you'll find is that the administrative qualities represented by many governments are going to make way for policies and procedures and the kind of program that's really going to get us where we need to go. Okay, you're seeing problems not only on the front of injustice, inequality, hatred among racial groups, religious groups, obviously ethnic groups. Throughout the international community, unrest has time and again proven itself to be the overriding factor in the aim in the direction of many intergovernmental institutions and programs that have enveloped the overarching pattern that will continue to displace hundreds of thousands of people, okay, and sort of move people from one direction to the next based on dichotomisms that have proven themselves to be a useful asset in the deployment of assets. Okay, when you look at the type of violence that you're seeing, for example, in France today, in Iraq, in Mosul, and Kandahar, a lot of these cities around the world where unrest literally will just plague the region, including Baghdad. A proper technique has never fully been established, okay? And, to hearken to the Moonlight Project of Biden, I'd have to say that the kind of programs that he's talking about instilling and the partnerships between different organizations, different governments, different racial groups, different religious affiliations, even different sects of individual religions need to meet in summits. There need to be overarching guidelines that are driving forward our aims as a society and as a world. Okay, and I think that there's one man to do it. All right, and his name is Porkadoodle. I think that as his plan succeeds and as the generations move within the guidelines and the confines in the direction in which Porkadoodle is headed at this moment, I don't know if there is any turning back at this point. Okay, so that being said, just as an introduction, I have to say that I have been reading or listening to George Bush's audiobook. Okay, I've listened to Jimmy Carter's audiobook, and the similarities are extensive. Okay, you listen to them read their own audiobooks. Jimmy Carter, years ago, I read, I think, half of his audiobook, not out of disinterest. Okay, did I quit? Right? I have stuff to do as well. Okay, but the man had a way of speaking that George Bush is emulating. I'm listening to George Bush is the President of the United States, in-depth commentary on individual decisions and microscopic inclinations and thoughts that he felt about certain decision-making realms within his presidency and even in his personal life. So I think, it really got me thinking, and also I've been searching for audiobooks. I'm trying to find the right one. I like lectures. I love lectures if there's a good lecturer. Okay, I'd much rather see impromptu sort of conversations to get a feel for the quality of person, because the quality of writing speaks to itself only so far. You have to have a person that's able to sell what he's writing. So look at Jimmy Carter and George Bush. They're really able to do that, right? But in the long run, I want an audio book, right? So I have this thing. I like getting immersed in shows and books. And it's been harder over the years as my inclinations have grown and my focus has grown more narrow and more subspecialized to try to find something that really suits me. One show in particular that really suited, kind of a children's show, but it was Merlin. I watched all the Merlins. I watched Lost. I watched most of Breaking Bad, but wasn't as impressed by it. I've read hundreds of books, I'd say, but I think that when you look for something, you should be able to find it easily. I'm looking for a certain type of book, right? Something that has to do with policy, has to do with history, has to do with building my own repertoire of content that I can then go and use in my own personal life, strengthening myself, right? I like to look at it like an exercise, okay? And I've discovered over the years that what I actually like, and my foremost positive conclusion will be drawn at great expense to myself by the materials that I myself conducted. And so I'm able to, for example, create a melody that I like, okay? Make a picture that I like, right? And the same, is true for many aspects, sort of. I'm very particular. So I decided the only way that I'm going to actually enjoy an audiobook is if I myself write the audiobook. So I think that this is an important section within that audiobook, and I think it adds to the voracious aspect and the velocity of the thoughts that are able to not only immerse people but let them become educated and interested in educating themselves about subjects that have struck a chord with me. Okay, and I think it's important that the buck stops with the quality of the gesture itself, not really in particular to be divisive and concern yourself with only the negatives that are bound to assert themselves upon you as the story unfolds. Okay, it's going to be an adventure. There are legends, okay, associated with this, man. So, I mean, you're not talking about something that's just a walk in the park or a 15 minutes of fame type event. We are going into the 1 hour plus range here with prepared content that's actually going to rival most of the mainstream channels, movies, even video games, as the animation sector continues to advance. If you've seen FSMplates.net, and you may be aware of what we're dealing with here. What we're dealing with is a monster, okay, and he's going to rampage through the pages, okay, of this book, all right, and it's going to be a wonderful event, right, able to vent your own frustrations throughout many of the different arena in which Porkadoodle conducts himself. So at this stage, I would have to just thank you for your attention and for your readership, and I hope you enjoy the book.